Okay, 2205 I think for silver was the last check I had, but Mark Lackey is joining us, Executive VP of CHF Capital Markets. Am I close at 2205?
Yeah, we're a little under 22. Last I looked today, I think we were around 2190. But by and large, Pat, we're up from the $19 level when we were last on the show in December. So we've had about more than 10% increase, which is kind of what we thought would take place here early in the year, that we'd have a bounce back in the price of silver. And of course,
you've been calling for a long, gradual improvement.
Exactly. That's exactly right, Pat. And that's what we're seeing. And, you know, if you believe in the seasonal factors, they work some years. You might not see as much movement in the silver price in the next 3 or 4 months, but then as we get through the summer and into the fall, that's generally when the price does pick up again. So, although I don't necessarily look at all the seasonal factors, because the commodities been beat up so much it could recover going through the summer in any event. But we see reasons why we think we'll be at $25 at the end of the year, Pat, and $30 at the end of next year.
Okay. Why? Let's talk to me about supply and demand.
Yeah, well, if we look at the demand issues, Pat, one advantage silver has over gold, I mean, they do move in the same direction, but I think silver has more upside because it has all these industrial uses. It's great in terms of electrical conductivity, but we're also now seeing people putting silver in things like water treatment plants, medical uses where it's very good in getting rid of problems that maybe antibiotics can't handle. Silver nitrate, very, very, very useful, and is being used more and more in the medical profession. So we are seeing these uses. Plus, the other one that I would point out, Pat, is in India. You know, we talked the last time I was on about the gold import tariff that's taken place in India. And while it hasn't been huge, it's been enough to prevent some jewelry makers from getting gold, so they've switched to silver. And to their surprise, they found that the demand for silver jewelry has actually been quite strong in India. So this is another factor helping the silver market.
Is it easier to find than gold, though?
No, it's not, and that's the other point, Pat. Most silver is actually byproduct of copper, lead, or zinc. The number of pure silver mines are restricted to areas like Mexico, Peru, Argentina, BC. So you aren't going to find a lot of pure silver mines out there, and we tend to support the guys that are primarily pure silver.
Okay. And you've got 3 ideas for us, right?
Right. And I should point out quickly on the supply side, Pat, that we don't think new supply looks all that strong here in the next 2 years. That's where we differ with some people, but there's already been a few projects because of prices that have been put on hold in both Mexico and Peru.
Oh, really? Even though the prices are
well, they recovered a little bit,
Pat, they were like $4 or $5.
If you go back to when some of those projects were really conceived, they were looking for, well, don't forget, we had 49 silver only a couple of years ago.
Yeah, good point.
And so $30 even a year and a half ago. So a lot of people were thinking, 25 is the floor. Some of these projects look good at 30, they don't look good at 25. And so as a consequence, people aren't going to produce at a loss. So we have seen some projects that have moved off. Of course, one of the reasons I'm not at $40 or $50 in the next year or two is because those projects will come back. So I have a reason for being at 25 and 30 on both the supply and demand issues.
Okay, let's move into your picks. Arian Silver.
Well, Arian, Pat, that's one we put on in December at 40 cents. It's now trading at 92.
Wow.
Had a big move, and partly I think not only because of the silver price moving, but as we pointed out, Arian will be producing later this year, probably the 4th quarter. And the production idea now to come forward at this time with prices rising, it's very positive for them. I like the management. I like Mexico as a jurisdiction, and I think that they have a pretty good resource on that property. So again, if you believe in seasonal factors, you might be cautious about buying right at the moment, but if you're an investor, then it's certainly probably a pretty good entry point.
Do the silver stocks typically go with the gold stocks, for instance? Have they participated in this particular rally?
Well, in fact, the silver stocks, some of them have actually outperformed some of the gold stocks because there's anticipation, like I'm believing, that there's more upside to the silver price. Now, if they both back off somewhat, there is a little bit of risk in the short run, but that's probably just a better buying opportunity if that happens.
Okay. Fortuna Silver, I'm sure we talked about last time.
Yes, Fortuna is one we have discussed before. It's a producer in both Mexico and Peru. The advantage is in Peru, you get lead and zinc as well, and you're able to sell those as credits, and both those markets have been stronger, Pat. And you've got a nice amount of gold in Mexico with the silver. So this is a company that's going to see its production probably rise about another 30% or so in the next couple of years. So with higher silver prices and even improving prices in some of the other commodities that they mine, I think this is really a company that should be on people's radar screens, particularly if you want to take a little less risk because there is cash flow and earnings here.
Yeah, because they're actually getting the stuff out of the ground.
Significant production.
That's why you get a better multiple on that. And
That's
then
right.
the last one is Renaissance Gold.
Right. Renaissance Gold is a gold and silver play in Nevada. And Pat, the reason I like this company is the people that run this company ran a company called AUEX a few years ago, which was taken over. The stock went from, I think, 1 to about 13 in a year. There were 2 takeovers, actually, of that company. So that management team made me quite a bit of money, and they spun out a stock in the same area, and they're going back and doing some of the same things. So they're Nevada-based guys. They know the area very well. They've had some good drilling results, and I think this is an interesting silver play, stock trading in around 60 cents.
Okay, but when they're called gold company, does that confuse the issue? What do they do mostly?
Well,
gold or silver?
it's a little more gold than silver. But
Yeah.
one of the reasons I want to put them on as a silver play, Pat, is that there's a lot more gold plays than silver plays. But yet you have some people that have a fair amount of silver that people maybe don't recognize. I mean, I'm sure most people, if you talk to them, Renaissance Gold, oh, that's a gold play in Nevada. But there's a significant amount of silver. As I said, it's almost as much as the gold they have. So I think it's better in this case for them to be represented, I think, as a silver play as well, because there are, in fact, hundreds of gold plays on the venture.
Yeah.
And to distinguish yourself is not easy.
Good point. Mark, great to have you here.
It's good to be here, Pat.
Mark Lackey, VP at CHF Capital Markets. We're going to come right back. We normally don't do 2 business stories back to back, but a lot of people are asking what's happening.